Hey guys, what's up? I got everybody here from TMI. Don't forget to write us an email at tmipodcast2018. That's tmipodcast2018 at gmail.com. Let us know how we're doing. Also, check us out on Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter at TMI_podcast 2018. Just use the numbers, don't spell it out.
Ooh, don't forget Facebook.com/TMI Podcast 2018.
Follow us on the Apple Podcast app. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review.
All you YouTubers out there, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, TMI Podcast 2018. Look for the popcorn bucket.
That's right. Also, check us out on Spotify and the Google Play Music app for all you Android users. Follow us and subscribe everywhere. We appreciate it. We're doing it for you guys, the fans. Thank you.
The moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Dave Odinson Warhowski, Jeff Nerfherder Chandler, Jim Kaiju Baker, and Mike Mjolnir Evans. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
Welcome, everybody.
We're back again.
We're still in spooky October.
Oh, wait, that's not my
Wrong movie, Jeff. Wrong movie.
Well, for
Wrong
copyright
killer,
reasons, we can't go down the whatever you want to do. We all know it. It's iconic.
I always wonder if they
play it in your head.
They got Jason to actually record those. Is that supposed to be Jason behind his?
I don't know. Maybe he's just got like something stuck in his throat.
Or maybe it's like a very faint Jimmy Durante.
His big old nose. You'd see him coming a mile away. He couldn't even hide around the corner. I'm gonna ask right now how many of our listeners know who Jimmy Durante is. I fell asleep last night watching Abbott and Costello meet the Frankenstein.
You did?
Yes, I did. But I've seen it a billion times. I'll tell you, though, it was Svengali. So, he's kind of like the local Elvira, I guess.
Yes.
He's got his own little show, and he bumpers it with a little lead-in. But the print was pretty impressive. It was pretty clean. I mean, I remember watching this show on PIX in the morning, and, back then we didn't have high definition anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely not. You're probably watching. I used to watch that on a black and white TV, so it made no difference.
No, it made no difference. Yeah, you're missing nothing.
Yeah.
So
wait a second. Let's repeat that. You've got a horror host. Local
Svengali. Oh, you don't know who Svengali is?
No. Tell our listeners who's Svengali.
Well, yeah. Basically, he is a horror meister, and he hosts these shows. I couldn't tell you if he's local, if he's national, but
what channel is he on?
Jeez, you're pulling me now because I didn't take notes. I couldn't even tell you what channel it was last night. I just happened to be flipping through right before I fell into a comatose state. So in that particular movie, you've got Lon Chaney as the Wolfman, you've got Dracula, and you've got Frankenstein's monster all meeting up. And maybe the Mummy, too. I'm trying to remember now.
No, I think the Mummy was a separate Abbott and Costello meeting.
I love those. Yeah, so obviously we are talking Halloween.
Yes, we are. The new Halloween.
Not the old Halloween, not the previous 8 Halloween movies. The new Halloween. Which they didn't even come up with a number or any, just, it's Halloween. It's the same sequel to the first Halloween. That's like all the Star Wars movies were just called Star Wars.
And this is technically the second Halloween 2, if you think about it.
Well, you got Halloween 2.
You had the Halloween 2, and this is a direct sequel to the first Halloween, which it is.
Well, what was H2O considered? Is that the 20th anniversary?
That was 20. Yeah, they just kind of eschewed all the other sequels and just made it Halloween 20, I think, just for the 20th anniversary.
So we just keep, every couple of years, we just go back and we're just going to negate all this other work, all these other actors and directors have come before. And
Yeah. It's, in 40 years' time, I'm sure it's still going to exist, this franchise.
yeah, well, I think, again, all right, we're getting ahead of ourselves because.
First order of business, all you listeners out there who have not taken advantage of our most generous offer of a freebie, a free pop.
Wait, we launched just 3 months ago?
In early September, I think maybe late August.
Not quite that long ago.
So we've got a pop, and he's still sitting here on my shelf. Peter Lafleur.
Lafleur?
From
is he
Dodgeball.
collecting dust at this point?
He is collecting dust. Still
He needs a
sitting
new
in the
home.
box. So we had a contest set up where if you answered a trivia question on our Facebook page, you would be the proud owner of Peter Lafleur. But nobody has even visited that posting on our Facebook page except for me. I'm the only one that's
You're the only one.
So I'm going to up the ante here. I'm going to sweeten the pot, as they say. So not only are we going to give away Peter Lafleur, Dodgeball Movies Pop number 237, I also have here, never opened, a Varmic figure, a Star Wars Pop number 84. He is another denizen of Maz's Bar. Does that place have a name in The Force Awakens? Maz's Hideout, Maz's Cantina?
Yeah, we're gonna rip off the cantina scene from the original Star Wars.
So Varmic is like a bat wolfman kind of looking character who very much looks like he's out of the original cantina, but he's not. He's from The Force Awakens. So this is pop number 84 from the Star Wars line. And not only do we have Peter Lafleur and Varmic, but we also have, seemingly fresh off the pop presses, the Predator Hound from the latest Predator movie. He has his own pop, people, and it's number 621.
He's cool though. He was one of the highlights of the movie.
He is one of the.
Was he the happy one that got shot in the head and then suddenly
he is,
a puppy?
He is.
Does he have a bullet hole in the side of his head?
I haven't taken him out of the box.
He's mint in the box.
Yes. So there we have it. Peter Lafleur from Dodgeball, Varmic from The Force Awakens, and the Predator Hound from The Predator.
That's a triple threat right there.
It is. One
you
giveaway.
Make your own movie with those three characters.
So all you have to do to get these three pops all in one shot is go to our Facebook page and answer a very simple trivia question.
Are you going to repost that question?
I am going to repost the question, but I'm going to give it to them now. From our episode 22 Confessional, we covered Total Recall. So that inspired our confessional question of that episode. What is your favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger quote? We all had our answers, Mike, Jeff, and I. And in order to get these three pops, what you have to do is post what Jeff's answer was to that question. What is your favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger quote? And again, we're giving you everything here, people. It's in episode 22. Click on it. Go to the end. That's where the answer is going to be. Find Jeff's favorite Arnold quote. Post it to our Facebook page on the posting as a comment. Where these three pops, I'm going to take a picture of them and put a posting up there.
Cool.
So comment on that posting and they will be yours. And most importantly, be the first one to post your answer. Second, third, it's not going to cut it.
Well, I will follow that up, Jim, which is if we actually get somebody to finally win this contest, we do have an exclusive I brought back from New York Comic Con that we could raffle off at a later date. But we can't do that until we get rid of these.
Yeah, we got to clear the boards. So,
we got to clear the boards. We're just giving back to you people.
We are. We're very, very thankful.
We're thankful that you're actually listening. So take advantage
of our kindness.
Jim's generosity.
Of our ignorance, maybe.
Of our ignorance. Please, we'll pay you to listen to us.
All right. So, yeah, I got that off my chest. I feel
there you go.
So what do we got? We got some news before we get into it?
We do have some news.
Okay, what do we have?
Well, let's see. Last week we announced that Netflix and Marvel came to an agreement that we are canceling Iron Fist. Well, a week later, we are now canceling Luke Cage.
This is very suspicious to me.
2 seasons in, and I think Luke Cage was one of the better produced shows out of the 4.
It was, although season 2 was lacking in that it dragged quite a bit. But I think it's a little extreme to cancel it unless there's something brewing here.
Correct. So, I mean, we theorized last week there's one of two, which is either it's getting pulled over to the Marvel streaming service, or they are now going to merge these two together into a Heroes for Hire show, which I'm all on board for.
Yeah. I think by joining them, it might just trim the fat.
If we get one more cancellation, I predict a Defender show. who knows? Maybe we'll see these guys in the reboot after Infinity Wars Part 2 in the cinematic universe.
Do we know anything about Punisher? Is there?
No, I haven't heard anything about Punisher, but that was a damn good show.
I did
enjoy that. I liked him immensely as that character.
Yeah, that's probably been the highlight of all those Netflix shows for me so far, even much more so than Daredevil. I enjoyed Punisher.
Yeah. So we can kind of parlay that, which is our lead character and our lead actor in Punisher was also on the show at one point called The Walking Dead.
Really?
He was. If you go back to season 1, did Shane make it out of season 1?
He did.
It was season 2. I can't keep
got it. Yeah.
Well, season 9 just premiered last week, and I know being in New York City at the Comic-Con, they were pushing this big time. Obviously, it's Andrew Lincoln's kind of swan song. Viewership is down. The premiere was down 6 million, so that's a huge hit for this show. And I think it's even going to continue to decline once you get rid of Andrew Lincoln. Once his character is, he's been the driving force from day one. This has all been from his point of view, I feel. Rick. So I don't know what's going on. I think at this point, Fear the Walking Dead gets better ratings than this show.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Crazy, right?
It is crazy. I think part of the problem is that The Walking Dead in many ways just takes itself too seriously these days. I understand it's a character-driven show, but at some point, it risks turning into Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah, you never saw Pa have dysentery, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. At some point during the season, I think we will sit down, probably during the season break, and talk about The Walking Dead, because it is one of the few shows that we watch consistently.
Yes.
And care about. I mean, there are characters you still care about, but there's so many new characters going on here that I don't know who they are, nor do I feel invested.
I know, and you can tell a lot of these new characters, they're just in there for maybe 2 or 3 episodes as a
to be killed off. You get to know them just enough that you have some kind of a emotional attachment when they're outed. Let's see, the only other news I have, which is it may have been 2 or 3 weeks ago, we talked about that Amazon had closed this huge deal to acquire the Lord of the Rings franchise, and they're going to launch this massive TV show. I mean, those director cuts of the Peter Jackson versions are like 18 hours as it is. So what else are you going to add to this stuff? And Netflix just closed a deal, and they just bought all 7 books to Chronicles of Narnia.
Really?
Yep. So I will say the first Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe movie that came out a couple years ago, very well done. I enjoyed it immensely. I thought it was very true to the book. They did expand a little bit, but I guess you have to when you turn it into a 2-hour movie. I mean, Narnia books are they're very kid driven anyways. They're written at a very low reading level. There's really nothing out there for kids. We talked about the clock and the house with the clock in its walls, and that it really wasn't made for us. It was made for like younger kids. Yeah. And I'm hoping that maybe this is what they're trying to do with Narnia.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to do like a 7-movie series or make it like a TV show, like the Chronicles of Narnia.
I would think that they probably want to milk this as long as possible.
Yeah.
And probably turn it into a TV series. The only other thing I'm going to throw out there, which is last week when we were talking about Bad Times at the El Royale,
I still want to say Bad Times at Ridgemont High.
There you go. That's right. Hey, bud. Lewis Pullman, I mentioned was Bill Pullman's brother. That's wrong. It's his son. The kid's like 20 years old. He can't be Bill Pullman.
When you said that last week, you did end that with, maybe much younger brother.
Yeah, no, it was
as if
son.
You were doubting yourself.
I doubted myself. Listen, it happens on a weekly basis. There's crap that comes out of this mouth, and I'm like, I should have probably fact checked that first. And that's it. That's all the news I got.
So as we had mentioned previously, we are in October, obviously. And it wouldn't be October without a Halloween movie. And sure enough, we've got a doozy of a Halloween movie that's out in theaters right now. The reimagining, a sequel, whatever you might want to call it, it's out there. It's a continuation of the first 1978 Halloween film.
40 years to the day.
40 years to the day later from that fateful night in 1978. And so we have Jamie Lee Curtis back on board. We got
Hot.
Michael Myers back on board.
Not the yeah, baby. Not that Michael Myers, right?
Not that
'Cause
Michael
I was getting
Myers,
confused
yeah.
at one point.
You know what's great now that you say that is there was a cover story in Entertainment Weekly.
Oh, I know. I was going to use that as the graphic this week for
And
the
you saw that photo? The
yeah, where she's
she's on a front porch and she's opened the door to trick-or-treaters, and there's a line of trick-or-treaters dressed as Michael Myers from the Halloween movies. And then at the end of the line, there's one kid with an Austin Powers mask.
Right, which is genius. It's great. And he's looking right at camera.
Yeah,
All the other ones are lined up. It's kind of like that little Boba Fett throwaway when they redid the special edition.
Yes,
He literally turns around to camera and goes, hey, look at me.
And the other thing about this new Halloween movie is it's written by Danny McBride. It's co-written by Danny McBride.
Very interesting.
From Eastbound and Down.
So at this point, is it just like fan fiction? Right? I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Let me, like, the last one this came, remember The Muppets with Jason Segel? And
listen, you get in a position like that where you're like, if you have a passion for something and you can actually take it and do something, then more power to you.
And he does a great job with this. I was on the fence, going into it. Is this going to be too jokey?
Oh, you weren't on the fence like Oscar, though, were you? Oscar was the kid that got impaled on the
fence. Needless to say, there's going to be spoilers here.
Yeah, lots of spoilers. And so you were on the fence. Okay, go back to that thought.
It's Danny McBride. So I was figuring, were they going to go in a Scream direction? Was it going to be making fun of itself too much, or is it going to take itself seriously? And it really does take itself seriously, and it is a scary, scary movie.
Does it take itself too seriously?
I read something to the effect where they did not want to bring any jokes into the movie until they really scared people in the beginning. They wanted to make it at least until the first kill, and then they allowed some jokes into the script.
And then they allowed some jokes.
Yeah, because it's really, if you think about it, it really sets up the tension nicely, especially when Michael's still in the hospital.
Did anybody die before the dad said, I got peanut butter on my penis?
Did anybody die? No, because no.
That was a joke.
Because no, that was a joke, but I think that was just to set up that you want to see this dad killed. Because
listen, no dad homicide, no dad is
because that made me think. I'm like, is his penis out? Why did he say that? Yeah,
he was setting mousetraps, and the mousetrap caught on him. That was whatever. Obviously, this franchise has been around for 40 years. I remember my aunts coming out of the theater, and I was much younger, 78. I was probably 11 years old. I was 11 years old. And it just freaked them out. Like, I remember specifically, them just coming home and being like mortified that this was like crazy. I've never been a fan of these type of movies. I've obviously seen the original Halloween. I've probably seen one or two others, but it's always the same thing. It's always just, he goes around, he kills, he dies, and then miraculously comes back in the next installment. So were you happy that they made this? Were you excited?
No, I wasn't excited in the least because, the last thing I thought that the world needs is another Halloween movie.
Right, especially a Halloween movie called Halloween.
Exactly, but as we're getting closer to it, and I was seeing all these very positive reviews, I did start to get excited.
I'll mirror that, which was, I'm not really thrilled. Everything for the show, right? So we do it. And you go in with an open mind, but you're right that the reviews started rolling in, and everyone was kind of raving about this. And this franchise is back on track. And I guess I never saw it when it went off the tracks because I had never seen half of those other.
I don't think it was never on the tracks. I think unless you're looking at that first movie. So I don't think the franchise, quote unquote, was ever on the tracks to begin with. But this is a worthy successor to the first movie, definitely.
So I liked the fact that they brought back in Jamie Lee Curtis, and that, for lack of a better term, she has PTSD, PST, post-traumatic stress disorder.
PTSD. Yes, PTSD.
Right. Her experience that she in the first movie stayed with her to the point where it's completely ruined and overtaken her life.
And her children's and her family.
Well, right. I mean, you get the little flashbacks. She lost custody of her daughter at 12 years old. She became a survivalist, nut job living out in the woods with 50 bolts on her door, and she's got this secret basement with
years worth
arsenal.
Of
she 2 failed marriages. So I like that. I love that setup. And obviously, you start the movie with these 2 British podcasters,
yes,
that were.
I took offense to that. Like, the podcasters, they had to make them super annoying, And of course, they were killed off, justly so.
But who in their right mind is going to allow these two podcasters to march into a government lockdown facility where this homicidal maniac has been there for 40 years
and goad him?
Right. Let him. Oh, by the way, I found this mask. What does this say to you? What does this bring any emotions to you?
I borrowed something from a friend at the Attorney General's office, Michael. You feel it, don't you, Michael? Say something, Michael. Say something!
Yeah, they were dispatched pretty early on. I actually thought that they would kind of be the narrative throughout, so they met their match.
So the podcasters, the setup of the movie is that these podcasters come, and they're kind of like the voice of the audience at the beginning of Halloween, because they come to visit Michael in his lockdown psychiatric facility. And he's there. You never see his face. He's out there chained to the ground with all these other extreme patients that are surrounding him.
Yeah, you just get little bits of his kind of silhouette, little side profile, nothing really concrete. Yeah,
definitely an older man.
Well, he's got to be, if you're pushing the fact that this was 40 years ago. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis was probably 17 at the time, so she's in her mid-60s. This guy's got to be like 70 years old.
But his back is to the audience. His back is to the podcasters that come, and they've got their little microphones out. And the guy got a very haughty, pretentious British accent, and he keeps calling him by his name, Michael.
Right.
I would want to kill him as well if somebody was talking to me like that.
Like at one point, Michael Myers just turned and said, "Come on, man, just give me one more, please." But yeah, the doctor, who, I mean, at one point they even refer to him as the new Dr. Loomis, which was Donald Pleasant's original character. Like, this has been his life's work, is following up with Michael and just getting into his brain and trying to understand the motivations of a killer. They're painting it like this guy was a mass, like, homicide crazy. He killed 5 people. And what was great is that when after that scene and you kind of get introduced to some of the younger characters, there's actually a scene where they're talking about the one granddaughter, Allison, is talking about her grandmother and how the family hates Halloween season and this whole thing, and it's really just kind of driven their family apart. And this kid's like, "Oh yeah, she was part of, wasn't that her brother?
Wasn't it her brother who murdered all those babysitters?"
No, it was not her brother. That's something that people made up.
But then he says, "But in this day and age, like, he killed 5 people. That's no big deal." Right? It was like quaint. He was like, "Oh, it's only 5 people."
But that was a lot of exposition was given in that scene where
yes, right,
all walking on the street. They also established the fact that a lot of purists have been up in arms about this movie, that since it kind of skips over all the sequels, Michael Myers and Laurie Strode are no longer siblings. You know, as we said, we open with Michael incarcerated, but this is not going to be a Halloween movie with Michael behind bars the entire film. So, of course, they have to set it up where they're moving him to another
after
facility.
40 years, they've exhausted. They can't learn anything more about him, so they're going to send him off to some Happy Daisy farm or whatever. I don't know.
On the night before Halloween, no less.
Well, it wouldn't be a Halloween movie.
No.
And they call this Easter.
They've got to move him not only on the night before Halloween, in the dead of night.
Right.
You can't move him during the day.
No.
And they got to move him with 10 other prisoners as well. So it's not like he's under complete lockdown by himself. No. You only see the aftermath of the crashed.
And it was never really explained whatever happened. So the doctor is on the bus, and then all of a sudden you cut to this dad and son. He's dragging his son out to go hunting in the middle of the night. So you're like, and the dad gets distracted. So you're like, oh, he's going to drive in front of the bus and it's going to crash. No, they come around the corner. The bus has already crashed. And you've got, for lack of a better term, zombies walking around.
Yeah.
All these guys are now escaped and they're just kind of like wandering aimlessly, except for our boy. Yeah,
I want to talk about that kid for a second, because the kid, as we said, he's driving with his father in the pickup truck. The father wants to make a man out of him and is taking him.
Meanwhile, the kid's bitching because he's missing his dance class.
Yeah, and the kid's maybe 12 or 13 years old. Yeah. And so they set up this kid, as kind of a protagonist, right? As he'll survive, because he's the good character out of all these.
Right. Oh, this kid's got heart, man. The dad runs off. You never see the dad again.
But so the dad runs off, and we find out later that he gets his head twisted around by Michael. And so the kid finds the doctor on the bus, shoots him inadvertently, runs back.
Well, he called 911. On his cell phone.
This is true.
And then, I don't know, they ask him a question, is there anybody alive? I don't know, I'll go check. And he leaves the phone in the car and runs with a shotgun into the crash bus. That's
when he shoots the doctor. He comes back, and there Michael is waiting for him. So,
of course, in the back seat.
Yep. exit the kid. So he is dead after this.
Yeah, snaps his neck, which
And
was
then-
kind of brutal. There's a couple.
It was very brutal.
There was a couple kids that were taken out in this movie.
And then the next day, the Halloween day, Michael takes out an entire gas station.
Steals the guy's pants.
Yep.
So now he's no longer in his psycho prison garb, white.
And coincidentally, our podcasters come back to the story at this point. They've interviewed Laurie Strode. They go to a gas station, and it just happens to be the one that Michael has just wreaked havoc upon. So, and this was hilarious, this scene to me. So the guy's filling up the tank, right? And the female counterpart of the podcasting team goes into the loo, as she says.
Right. He's like, what? The loo?
So she goes into the bathroom and, sits down on the stall, and boom, not 2 seconds after she sits down, the door slams open and you see the work boots, you see the overalls, and it's Michael Myers in the door.
And he's like a bully in high school. He goes from stall to stall, seeing who's in there he can steal their lunch money from.
Now you would think the minute that door gets kicked in, she'd be up pulling her pants up.
No, she's got to finish what she's doing, man.
No, she didn't even start what she was doing.
She did by the end, I think.
Yeah. So Michael Myers starts walking towards her stall. All she sees is his work boots, right?
Yep.
And he's kicking open each stall as he's going. And the camera keeps going back to her, not making a move, still sitting on the toilet.
No, just kind of like
as can be.
You're a little aggressive there.
Yeah. And then finally he makes it to her door, tries to open it, and she just says that little polite
Occupied. Excuse me, somebody's in here.
Then you see the teeth come over.
He
drops the teeth.
Oh yeah, because he just tore that guy's jaw off, and obviously
drops the teeth. But I'm surprised she just didn't keep going after that point. Like, okay, just a second. I'm
right.
Thanks for the teeth,
I can see you really in a hurry. Yeah. Hold on, let me go.
So needless to say, the podcasters buy it at this point, and we're only about 15 minutes into the movie.
Right. But then Michael's smart enough, so he goes to their trunk and takes his mask.
He's like,
oh, yeah, by the way, that was mine. Yoink!
So now we have the original Michael Myers dressed to kill once again.
On the loose. I noticed in the credits they refer to him as the Shape.
Yes, that was what he was referred to in the original Halloween, and they brought that back for this.
And I think Laurie even mentioned that when she sits outside the facility and watches him leaving the bus, and then she goes to the family and she's like in hysterics, and she's like, I saw the Shape. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But it's the same guy, right? Nick Castle, the guy who plays him in the original.
Yeah, not in the entire movie. I guess I didn't write the guy's name down, but another actor plays him for most of this movie. And
gotcha.
And only a couple of scenes plays him.
Okay.
It's kind of like a masked cameo, I guess.
You never know. That's like you can swap out the guy playing Chewbacca. You don't know.
Yeah. So, without getting into the weeds here with the little plot points, basically Michael is now on the loose, back in his old hometown on Halloween night.
So once again, you can just walk the streets with a bloody knife, and no one thinks twice about him because they think he's in costume.
Yeah.
And I think that little scene where two little kids run into him, happens in every movie. Whether I've seen them all or not, I think that.
And always that music cue.
Yep. Yeah. And he just goes from house to house. He just goes from house to house, looking in the windows. And then the guy's like a master. He just, he's sneaking in the closets. He's sneaking in the back doors. The old lady, he stabbed her. She was watching Voyager. That was a weird, out of nowhere TV show to have on. I
meant to look what she was watching, but
that was Voyager. That was Phineas Bogg and the kid with the red and white shirt. Pre Where's Waldo?
Interesting.
But then she had a baby. Was she babysitting? She looked way too old to have
it was. But Michael Myers, he's not that bad.
Right? He had to send you a message. I'm not going to kill the baby.
He kills the woman with a hammer, right? So you hear the baby crying. You're like, oh, no, what's going to happen now?
Yeah.
So Michael Myers walks through the house after killing the mother, the grandmother, whoever this was.
Right.
Looks at the baby.
In her hair. Who wears curlies anymore?
Looks at the baby in the crib, considers for a second, and then just keeps walking out the front door.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess he's not a monster after all.
Right, exactly. So we were also introduced to, what was his name? Was it Hawkins, the cop?
Who was
supposedly the only other, he was like the original deputy that showed up on scene 40 years ago. So he has this connection to Michael Myers as well.
And he's kind of haunted as well in his own way.
Yeah, well, I got very distracted because he was played by Will Patton.
Oh, yes. Give it up.
It drove me nuts for 20 minutes. I'm like, what the name of the show that he was on with Noah Wyle, and it completely took me out of the movie. And finally, I'm like, Falling Skies. It was Falling Skies, and then
Colonel Weaver.
And then I could get back in. So, but,
maybe if he had the ponytail, it would have come to you sooner.
It probably would have. Well, I knew it was Noah Wyle. Those I put together, and I remember even the graphic, whatever. But that's the kind of crap that takes me out.
So I was very glad to see him because I loved him in Falling Skies.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he gets taken out pretty early on as well.
But he gets taken out by not Michael Myers.
The creepy doctor. The new
doctor. What's the motivation behind it? So he's got the doctor in his police vehicle.
Yeah, because after the gas station murders, the police know that Michael Myers is on the loose.
Oh, yeah. And it's just like Jaws. We can't shut down Halloween with a shark on the loose. We'll just let him go. People need their Halloween candy, right? I mean, that's basically what it came down to. They're like, we can't do it.
And these murders in the gas station are probably the most egregious murders that you could inflict upon a small town.
Not only that, it's like, and he stole his pants. This guy's a monster. So it's silliness ensues. So Hawkins has the Dr. Sartain, or whatever you want to call him, the new Dr. Loomis, in the back of his truck. And they're racing toward, at this point, I think they're racing toward Laurie's family's house here. So it was this whole big buildup. It was this friggin' Moby Dick, Ahab against the white whale. She's obsessed with him and needs to take him. I kept waiting for her to find out that it was her who actually caused the bus crash, because she was so obsessed with killing him that she orchestrated that. And she had the ability because they made it look like she was nuts.
That's funny because I was 100% convinced that that's what was going to happen.
Right.
But they didn't go there.
No, they didn't go there. So anyways, so they see Michael Myers. He's standing in the middle of the road. Now, you can shoot at this guy. You can stab this guy. He just keeps coming back. So hold on tight. And he guns it and he runs into him. They get out of the car. He's laying on the ground. You killed him. You're like, that's it. That's the end of the movie. You ran him over. How come no one thought to run over this guy? So as he's laying there, and of course the cops, leaning over Michael Myers' body, and the doctor just takes out the scalpel and starts stabbing. Oh, yeah, he stabs the cop, kills him, and then puts the mask on. Oh, the girl was in the back.
Yeah, the
granddaughter was in the back. That's
Laurie Strode's
she's
granddaughter
witnessing this whole thing. Yeah. And all of a sudden the doctor stands up and he has Michael Myers' mask on. And I will tell you, the people that were in my theater laughed their asses off. Because he's this old man with his arm in a sling. So it's like, if you're going to tell me that he's now taking over this role and somehow going to be the killer. And he's like, oh, so that's what it feels like. So he's now doing, he killed this guy.
He's trying to see life through Michael Myers' eyes. He's trying to understand what makes him.
By killing somebody? Come on.
But as we know, just one rundown is not going to kill Michael Myers.
No, and of course so now this doctor, with one arm, mind you, takes this 500-pound man, dumps him in the backseat of the car with Allison, and he's like, oh, yeah, I lied. He's really still alive. Throws the masks in the back, and he says, oh, it's only a matter of time before he's back up and running. That to me was left turn territory.
So that was a plot device pretty much to get Michael to Laurie's her lockdown house. So
which was just, I mean, again, to me it was I kept getting little vibes of Sarah Connor in Terminator 2, where she has become like their survivalist. She knows what's coming, and so she is. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis is a little bit ripped, and she's just badass with the guns and whatnot. And you see in the flashbacks that she was part of the reason she lost the custody of her daughter is that she, has her living in this home with these guns and all this other crap. You find out that each one of these rooms is like booby trapped, and it was crazy. So they're luring him to this house.
Probably the neatest thing in the house was this kitchen island that they have that they can control by remote that moves the kitchen island over a few inches so they have a secret crawl space into the basement.
Yeah. I would think over time that there'd be like some wear mark that you would just look on the floor and be like, oh, look, that just kind of spins to the right. It was just a wooden floor.
Which Michael kind of figures out on his own how to get down there. Towards the end of the movie, Laurie and her daughter, very uncharacteristically, are all cowering and huddling in the basement while Michael's in the house.
Right. Meanwhile, right. This is your plot. This is your point. Well, so the dad gets taken out unceremoniously.
Probably because of that penis joke that he made.
Probably.
He had to pay
he's got to go. He's got to go. So he gets taken out. All the cops get taken out. At one point, the cop car comes flying in, and the dad's like, "Hey, what's going on? Did you find my daughter?" Meanwhile, she's running through the woods.
Yep. And it was Michael driving the cop car because he drove back from the...
He had to, right. But he opens the door, and there's one of the dead cops with the other guy's severed head with a flashlight shoved up his neck to look like a jack-o'-lantern.
See, I would like to reflect on that for a minute. That would take probably anybody like a day to do. That would take a lot of time to do. And
he's had 40 years to think about this.
Yeah, and going back to the other kid that he's hanging up on the fence, that's not a 2-minute operation either. That's like an intricate thing.
No, and I was very disappointed to see Oscar go. So, right, there's the side story with the granddaughter, and she goes to the Halloween dance with her boyfriend, who, once again, she gets in a fight with him or whatever, you never see him again.
Oh, yeah. If anybody was going to be punished, it should have been that guy.
Right, right. They set this up. He meets the parents. He's a bit of a whatever. Yeah, and all of a sudden, she's like marching home with this other kid. Well, once he gets a couple beers in him, and it's like, all right. He never came back to save the day.
No, never saw him again.
Never saw him again. Yeah. The poor girl that was babysitting, what parent leaves their kid home on Halloween night with a babysitter and doesn't allow him to go trick-or-treating?
Well, they go out to a Halloween party, right?
Those parents should have been killed.
And that kid, by the way, I'm sorry I didn't get his name for this podcast. He's probably the highlight of the movie.
And he never showed up again either.
No,
he survived. He ran away. Then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we got a disturbance on Maple Street. It's like, wait, did he make it to make a phone call? It's like, where did he go?
Yeah.
And you never saw him again because, he had some moxie. He was sassing back the babysitter.
Yeah, that would have been great if he made it to Laurie Strode's house and was there, like with all the rest of it.
Right, yeah. So, there's a lot of characters that kind of came and went that weren't necessarily disposed of, but just disappeared. Didn't really care. So now he's in the house and he's systematically going from room to room. Well, he gets Laurie. I mean, right off the bat, she's at the front door. Now, again, she's got multiple lock systems and bolts and she's standing there with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Only one gun, by the way. She's got multiple weapons at her disposal. She's been planning this, and yet she goes upstairs with a shotgun, not even a sawed-off shotgun, so you can get in close range.
Yeah. Did she have like an AK in there or something?
Yeah,
like
there was all kinds of right. And
maybe I would have chose that one, I think, over the shotgun.
Right.
So Laurie was in the basement with her daughter, and then she goes out to kind of find Michael upstairs. And that's when she's closing all the doors. And then they have an altercation upstairs. Laurie goes out the window. And I thought it was a really nice turn of events because the finale of the original Halloween was Michael going out the window.
I wanted more of that. This is what I want. I wanted the roles to be completely reversed. And there was another scene too, I guess, when he finally gets the trapdoor open. The daughter and the granddaughter are in the basement. And she's like, and he's standing there. Daughter is like, I can't do this. She's got the gun pointed. And she's like, Mom, I can't do this. And of course, then he steps up and she goes, gotcha. Mm-hmm. And she shoots him. But then as he goes away, you see Laurie come out of the shadows behind him. And I'm like, I wanted more. I wanted these roles to be completely reversed. Yeah. I wanted her to be completely unhinged and to just do whatever it takes to take him out. And you're right. I mean, she's cowering in the basement going, no, you know what? I'm sorry. I ruined your childhood.
But you know what? After the daughter shoots him, it kind of made me think that was all a ploy to get him into the basement. And that's what they were looking to do.
To get him down, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then she got the lock system and whatever,
But you're right. Earlier in the movie, they were setting that up throughout the beginning of the movie. Especially, there's one scene where the granddaughter's in class and she looks out the window.
And there's Laurie standing there.
Exactly like the original movie where Laurie's looking out the window and Michael Myers is standing there.
Right. I guess at some point I forgot that it's a reboot. They want to make more of these movies. So obviously you now have the granddaughter who could be traumatized, and now he comes after her next movie or whatever. But yeah, I wanted finality. I didn't even care if Laurie went out with him. I actually thought, again, you go down to Ahab White Whale, so obsessed with him that she's willing to kill herself to make sure that he is gone. Didn't happen.
But Michael gets caught in the basement, right? So then as soon as he's in the basement, the other girls come out. And Michael grabs the daughter, and there's a little bit tug of war back and forth, and the daughter finally makes it out. They hit the switch. These bars come over the basement entrance, so Michael is trapped. They hit all these gas switches that I would think would blow up the house, not just start a fire.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't just start a fire. It would be like a massive bomb.
But yeah, that doesn't happen. So we just see Michael staring up at them as the flames kind of come closer and closer. You never see him burn.
No.
It's kind of really an anticlimactic way for Laurie to kill him, to be leave
And
such an uncertain.
I thought it was funny because, you got the 3 women walking away. No man could take this guy out. And here you got the 3 women. And did you sit through the credits?
No. Was there a scene at the end?
You did not sit through the credits?
I did not sit through the credits.
What? That's like 101 at this point in our lives.
It was like 9:30 at night. I was tired.
So I will tell you, there was no end credit scene.
Okay.
But after everything rolls, you just hear. And I'm like, come on. But
is he going to be terrorizing his nursing home in the next?
I guess so. I don't know. That mask has got to be nasty at this point.
A mask like that would, have cracks and creases in it, but they kind of made it look like it was an old man face.
Right.
Which I thought was very fitting.
He is old man.
He is an old man.
He'd be chasing you with a walker.
So there was things that I did not agree with in this. We can make fun of it as much as we want, but I was very apprehensive and scared throughout this movie. There was
some nice jump. There were some nice jump scenes.
I think that it delivered the scare.
Kills.
Yeah.
He ended up killing the doctor by squishing his head. I mean, literally just like watermelon stomp.
Although that stuff really, you see that every week on Walking Dead. So.
I guess so. Yeah.
What matters more to me are, the genuine scares. This could have had no gore in it, and I think it still would have been scary. So as much as we make fun of it, I still think it delivered, and I would give it maybe 3 popcorn buckets. What say you?
I'm sitting on the fence here. I did like it. I came home and I immediately texted my daughter, who's off to school, and she's been dying to see it. I mean, she's been talking about this movie for months, and she's like, so? And I could have been a jerk and just been like, "Oh, listen to the podcast." Mm-hmm. But I said, I'm not gonna sway your opinion one way or the other. See it, and then we'll talk about it. I liked it for what it was. It wasn't quite what I expected, and I guess I really wanted Jamie Lee Curtis's character to be a little more unhinged and a little more crazy, and to just see the entire script flip. But I get it. It's a reboot. Everyone's claiming that we've now rebooted the franchise and that this is, a true return to form, whatever that means. So we are going to see more of them. I'll give it 3. Begrudgingly. Yeah, begrudgingly. There were some nice tie-ins, everything from the original serif font that they used in the original movie.
Yeah, they really made an effort to make that opening credit sequence look like the original opening credit sequence.
Yeah, which was kind of nice. Bringing in John Carpenter for the music, I thought was great. They're at least adhering to the timeline that time has passed. The tombstone, the sister's tombstone, wasn't that like in the original movie as well? Like at one point propped up.
Yes, it propped up behind one of the victims.
Right. So I thought that was a nice. So little Easter eggs, I guess, back to the original. I did see in the credits that they credited the Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. That there were some masks that they had used. I don't know if there were kids on the street. That whole movie,
Halloween 3, did not include Michael Myers at all. It was like a evil corporation that made 3 masks that, like, at some point on Halloween night, all the kids that were wearing the masks would die horrible deaths.
Oh, interesting.
It was some kind of a cult that led this corporation. I don't know what the exact plot was. But yes, there were 3: a skull, a witch, and a jack-o'-lantern mask.
Okay, so I guess that they were
visible at one point.
They were somewhere in there because it was in the credits. And the kid was watching Repo Man on TV, where he opens up the trunk and he gets vaporized. That was
yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, 3. I gave it 3. Okay. Listen, if you're a fan of this franchise, I highly recommend going to see it just because it is Jamie Lee Curtis.
But the big question is, did Mike see it? I wonder.
I don't
know. This is not up his alley. Is he not even in Boston? He just didn't want to see this.
I thought there was a nice out. Well, the fact that we were going to talk about his trauma, I said, "Wow, Mike, you're like leaving the state." Oh yeah, if anybody doesn't realize, Mike's not here this week.
You are missed, and he's not going to be here next week either. So
what?
No, he's going. He's going on vacation next week. He's going abroad.
The Jeff and Jim show.
Yeah. Right before they close, let's go to the concession stand.
Oh yes, please.
Hi, folks. I'm Rico.
Oh, don't you?
He's Peppy.
See.
You can find us at the concession stand in the lobby.
along with all sorts of other tasty goodies.
See, Rico's Nachos, a refreshingly new and different snack discovery. Chock full of high-quality ingredients, crisp, fresh tortilla chips, covered with creamy aged cheddar cheese, topped off with zesty jalapeno pepper rings. Rico's Nachos, out of sight.
Remember, folks, we're the new star at the snack bar. Rico's Nachos, a new taste treat you can't beat.
See? Rico's Nachos, on sale at the snack bar now.
Okay, we're back.
I got my big bucket of Soylent Green.
So do I.
Nice.
It looks just like bathroom tiles, doesn't it?
It does. It actually sounds like bathroom tiles, too. How do I eat this?
Yeah.
Oh, I broke a tooth.
I think I saw this color in Lowe's the other day when I was going through the paint aisle as well.
Yes, it is soothing green.
So we chose Soylent Green from 1973 this week because Mike had mentioned it during our confessional answer for what was the most traumatizing show or movie in your childhood. He named Night Stalker right off the bat. Well, we had to figure out it was Night Stalker. But since Mike's not
some
here,
detective work there.
It did. But since Mike's not here, we're not discussing Night Stalker this week.
But I watched it, so I'm all ready for next week.
So did I. We can't have the Night Stalker discussion without Mike.
No, because I got too many funny jokes to point out at this point.
Yeah. And kind of offhandedly, he also threw out Soylent Green during his answer. Like, I think Soylent Green kind of disturbed me as well. So I figured,
as well it should.
Yeah. So Mike's not here, but we're still going to cover Soylent Green. I don't want to spoil this for anybody, but so if you've never seen Soylent Green, please turn us off right now and go watch it because, it's one of the biggest surprise endings of all time. But
what? It's really not a surprise. I mean,
really. Looking at the trailers, I was looking at the special features on the DVD, and the trailer for this movie leads off right away.
What is the secret of Soylent Green?
You don't even get into that for the first hour.
Yeah, the trailer. So just sitting before you even sit down to watch the movie, you're trying to figure out, okay, what's going on here?
Right?
There'll be a twist.
Yeah.
And sure enough,
that's like advertising cycle and be like, "What's up with mom?" Right? It's like, stop.
Keep your eye on mom. There's something up there.
Right.
Yeah.
Be on Norman's night side.
So we're in the year 2022. Only 4 years away from
4 years away, which is we'll get into that a little bit.
So the greenhouse effect, it wasn't global warming back in the 70s. It was the greenhouse effect. Same result, though. The temperature is pretty much unhospitable for Earth. Every day is 90 degrees, 100 degrees. The cities are overrun, and nobody is allowed to live in the country, apparently, except the rich people. That was kind of a throwaway line in the movie about the characters running off to the country at one point. So the city's overcrowded. There's no money. Everybody's impoverished. And the government is supplying food. What they are little crackers that are made from soy, from synthetic materials. Who knows what it is? Right. And Soylent Green, which is the new food that's being dredged from the ocean from plankton. For its high energy. So there's no more meat, there's no more cattle, there's no more protein like that. So we're forced to depend on the government to give whatever subsidized food that they come up with.
Meanwhile, there's 40 million people in New York alone?
Yes,
40 million people.
So every street scene is just teeming with people. Charlton Heston is...
It's actually pretty impressive. Yeah. No matter where he goes, he's stepping over bodies and people.
To walk down the stairs that lead up to his apartment, he's got to step over bodies. It's like everybody has to have their own little piece, and that's where they live. Like if it's a stair, so be it. They're not outside. Charlton Heston is a police officer. Frank Thorne is his name.
Ooh, very loose.
And apparently part of the police uniform is a silk scarf that you tie around your neck, sometimes untie to wipe your brow. But he's always got that silk scarf around his neck. It kind of reminded me of Planet of the Apes when he had that, when he couldn't talk.
Oh,
and
he couldn't talk.
Yeah.
Maybe he just carried that over.
Maybe he just likes a choker. Maybe he.
I thought it was just like a poor man's ascot. And then when he paired it up with that Chattanooga choo-choo hat, I was like, this guy's gay as can be, man. And then you find out he lives with a guy, and you're like, oh yeah, they're lovers.
So he lives with what was the guy's name? Saul. So as a police officer, he's got his bookman. That's what he calls Saul. So Saul is kind of like his researcher. That whenever he's got a case, I guess they couldn't conceive of the internet back then or computers or anything else.
No, they shouldn't have cell phones either. So.
No, so they have human computers. So this is Saul's relationship to Frank Thorne, is that he's his backup and does his research for his cases. So the plot of the movie revolves around a murder case of a very rich man who lives in a penthouse apartment in the sky. So this rich man is murdered. It turns out.
No, the guy breaks in, punk breaks in with a crowbar.
And he's
just like, all right, go for it. He just lets him kill him.
So we find out that this man has ties to the Soylent Corporation that makes these cracker-like items of food. And he has just lost his will to live after finding out some kind of a secret about the Soylent Corporation. So the Soylent Corporation has a man come in, a homeless guy, one of the many homeless on New York, to come in and kill him in his apartment. And they make it look like just a break-in. But it is not. It is an assassination, as Frank Thorne finds out, yes.
So, yeah, Thorne, probably the worst cop. Like he shows up at this place and immediately starts...
the most unlikable cop that you've ever seen.
He starts stealing everything he can get his hands on.
We have a character by the name of Cheryl.
Yep.
She is the furniture of this apartment building.
Which I thought was just... Yeah, again, me too, really?
Yeah.
This does not fly.
This movie would be just, let out and burned if it was screened today. There would be so much outcry about this. But
yeah, all the high-end apartments came with furniture, which is a prostitute.
Yep.
That you find out the doorman is the pimp, Charles.
Yes. When he's not kowtowing to the clientele, he's beating the furniture. And I'm not talking about going out and beating it like a rug. He's beating up the prostitutes in this apartment building. Yeah. So Frank Thorne comes in, as you said, he's stealing the food, he's stealing the sheets, and then he decides that he can just, start sleeping with Cheryl, the prostitute. Right. Which he does.
I love this guy's interrogation tactics. Yeah. He's just like, come over here, take your shirt off. Meanwhile, he sent the bodyguard out to write his own alibi. Like he's not even taking notes. He's like, here's a piece of paper, go write down.
So here we go. So Frank starts to pick up on the fact that this murder was more of an assassination by the Soylent Corporation because they're hiding something. And so Frank finds these two giant volumes of books.
Like ledgers of
oceanographic files or something to that effect, which he brings back home and he has Saul look through. And Saul makes the discovery that the oceans are not generating any more plankton, that they are in fact dying. So if that's the case, then where is Soylent Green coming from is the big question.
I like Sal's character. This was famed actor Edward G. Robinson.
Yes, who is most well known for portraying gangsters in the 30s, 40s. But this was his 101st film and his last film.
Hey, he died like 9 days after this movie was made.
Yeah. And his character is a great character. He's a very likable character, much more so than Thorne.
This guy never leaves the apartment, Saul. But at one point he's like, Vio con Dios, and he goes, what does that mean? He goes, go out and die, schmuck. It was just, there was a great camaraderie between the two of them. I thought it was very well done. But I will say that there was a point in this where I was like, thing's only 97 minutes long.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at the countdown.
What is this? What is going on?
Because really, this movie only exists for its final tagline. And
basically.
Really
and it's like, I kept saying, how funny the future looks like 1973, but with just a couple bad matte paintings. Like, they didn't really try too hard to make it look futuristic. No. There was one kind of Apple white video game thing that Cheryl was playing early on. It was like she was playing. It was almost like an Asteroids.
Yeah, it was a very rudimentary video game.
Right, correct. Which I guess for back in the day was probably state of the art.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just, I will say the scene where Thorne, after he steals all the food and he comes back to Saul and he gives him the bottle of liquor. And then he shows him it was like a wilted stalk of celery, a tomato, which Saul calls a love apple, and then a piece of meat. And then they're now eating this. And the sheer joy of these two people experiencing real food. And that, to me, was just like, wow. I mean, it kind of brings home the fact that, I really want to kind of dismiss this. And then all of a sudden there's a point. And I think it gets when they start bringing in the scoops and they're just scooping up people left and right. They start rioting because there's no more, Soylent Green for that day.
Yeah, and that was actually a very well done set piece.
And it is.
But in this scene where you have all these extras, hundreds and hundreds of extras replicating a street scene in New York City where there's markets going on, where they're selling Soylent crumbs, Soylent rolls, Soylent everything, and they run out of Soylent Green. And the cops know that
it's all hell's going to break loose. Tuesday is Soylent Green Day.
Yeah,
do you know this is where Green Day actually got their name from.
I couldn't conceive of Green Day even sitting and watching a movie like that.
They're smarter than you give them credit for.
Maybe they are.
But yeah, I think when those scoops kind of came in, like I hit a little bit closer to home. Like you said, this is only 4 years off, and it's really not that unrealistic. When you start listening to, about the climate change, alarmists and these extreme weather patterns that we're dealing with, it could very well turn into something like this.
And so it makes you think during that scene where they're having that food, like how much you take it for granted. What if it was all taken away?
Right. But how do they cook the food? If they've been sustaining on these processed squares,
they don't
why
have
would you have a
pans.
stove? Why would you have a stove or an oven or anything like that? And all those people in the hallway would have been like, what the hell is that? Is that cooking meat? Like, you think that they would have been like freaking losing their mind going, but Saul seems to be the only one who remembers what eating a cow was like. I hate to say it, but it's really not that far-fetched.
And let's talk about the scoops. And we're not talking about a scoop of bran and a scoop of raisins. We're talking about
bulldozers.
We're talking about bulldozers that come when there's a riot situation. They come and they plow through the people.
The supply of Soylent Green has been exhausted. We must evacuate the area. The scoops are on their way. The scoops are on their way.
Kind of like snowplows, but they're also like a garbage truck. They're putting the people back in the back of the truck, and what happens to them, who knows?
Yeah, that's where you're really kind of, it's like, what the? Yeah.
And there's that one great sequence where the guy that killed in the beginning is coming back to try to assassinate Charlton Heston.
Oh, it's during that scene. It's during that riot. Yeah, he's now on riot patrol. They've now downgraded him to riot patrol. And that's basically just him with a football helmet.
Yeah, with a football helmet on, with a visor.
There's no padding, there's no extra weapon, no shield.
That's where you saw the budget of this movie. It's like, let's just get some football helmets.
We'll paint them gray. They look militaristic.
Yeah. So the guy's trying to shoot Charlton Heston's character in the middle of this riot, and he can't get a beat on him because there's so many people. So he just ends up shooting various people that get in the way.
Right.
And then he's eventually crushed by one of the scoops.
Yeah, it just drops right on him.
Yeah, that would have been a good opportunity for an Arnold quip right there.
Scoop him up.
So we're barreling towards the reveal of what's going on here, but not before Saul finds out the secret of Soylent Green and decides that this is a good point in his life to end it all. So he goes home, which is a facility for assisted suicide. So
and who works there? Who worked there?
We came across him 2 weeks ago in our
How crazy was that?
I never knew he was a genre guy.
Man, he's all over the place.
Yeah.
Mr. Dick Van Patten.
So Saul enters this facility, this home.
Right. Yeah. They're welcome you with open arms.
Yes.
Yeah. Come on.
They undress you. You're on a table. You're laying down with a sheet covering you, and you sit there. They ask you what your favorite color is, and Saul's was orange. So the room becomes an orange hue. He's got a wraparound movie screen, and they just show him the pictures of the earth the way it used to be, while classical
music and snow-covered mountaintops. This in the food eating scene really kind of anchored this emotionally for me. That this was, because now Chuck Heston is up in the control room, and now he's trying to get to Saul. He's like, Saul, he's trying to contact him. But he's seeing the same thing that Saul is seeing. And it brings them both to tears. That this is what the earth used to be like, and this is something that they'll never experience. And it was very emotional. I thought it was very, very powerful.
For me as well, it was the highlight of the movie. And it's knowing that it's Edward G. Robinson's final movie.
Well, I think that was his last scene. He's filmed his death scene. Was the last scene. Yeah, that's a little poignant. You don't realize that. You do now. But that scene, again, between that and with, when they were eating that food, really kind of hammered home the emotional plight of these people.
On a less serious note, have you ever seen the Simpsons Soylent Green episode?
I'm sure I have. We're going to segue right from...
where they make fun of this. They make fun of this.
Oh, in the cafeteria? They're making the...
No, when Grandpa goes to the assisted suicide facility, and is sitting there like Saul in the bed sheet.
As you surrender your body, what music and visual imagery would you like to experience?
I want to hear the Glenn Miller Orchestra, and I want to see cops beating up hippies.
And then they show a poignant scene of him watching cops beating up hippies.
Oh, the music's playing in the background.
From the same camera angles as you see Saul.
Oh, that's great. I got to look it up now.
So funny, yeah. So, and it also made me pause to think, what an anachronism. Charlton Heston, Mr. NRA, in this movie with
what is very mental, right? An environmental,
And it makes me think: is this a personal cause of his? Did he carry this through with him throughout his life, or did he this is just science fiction to him? Who knows?
I did like the fact that he did get shot in the leg. He couldn't even go home because these guys were all waiting for him. Now they wanted to take him out, and he had multiple guys chasing after him, and he does get shot in the leg. And yet somehow miraculously he's bouncing around in the
it does not seem to impede him whatsoever.
He's climbing, he's kicking guys onto belts and all,
So that brings us to the end. He follows Saul's body to the processing plant.
That's right. He jumps in the back of one of the scoops or garbage truck or whatever you want to call it.
And here we go. Here's the big reveal. Turn this thing off if you don't know what I'm talking about. But Soylent Green is not plankton.
Close.
It's another P word.
Ooh.
They're making our food out of people. Next thing they'll be breeding us like cattle for food. You gotta tell them. You gotta tell them. Listen to me, Hatcher. You gotta tell them. Soylent Green is people.
It's people.
It's people. And blankets, because all the blankets went in.
Yeah, the blankets are going in too.
And you assume all the clothes.
And the body hair and everything else.
Yeah.
I wonder if you ever get a hair when you're eating Soylent Green.
I hope you don't get a tooth like Michael Myers dropped on you.
Or, that little mysterious white ball that you get sometimes when you eat
every
sausage.
now and again, yeah.
Or
so,
a hot dog.
Would that make you stop eating it if you found out it was people?
Probably not. If that's all I had to eat.
Right? You'd be like, that's gross. And then you'd probably take another bite. I mean, we all know it's in hot dogs, and yet we continue to eat them.
He says to his police chief as they're carting him away and his hands up in the air, it's people, tell the world. And the chief says, I'll tell what do they call him? The council or Although I got the impression that the council were killed off because all the agents were waiting outside the door to ambush Charlton Heston. But what's he going to do? There's no other food. What other food is anybody going to eat?
It's not like you have an option. I mean, what were the other colors? If green was people, then just diet. Here. All right, we stopped making green. Here's red instead. Oh, you people came to your senses.
Yeah.
And they just keep eating and they don't know any better. We're all just sheep.
So the original story was called Make Room, Make Room.
Yeah, that's
and they actually didn't call it that because they didn't want to confuse it with Make Room for Daddy.
I would be like, this is not what I wanted. Where's Danny Kaye? He's not in this at all.
And apparently it wasn't Soylent Green in the story. It was Soylent Steaks. So it was actually a meat product.
Soylent Steaks.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which would be a bit more disturbing, I think, than little crackers. But
especially if it looked like a hind leg of,
But I think you'd be able to work that out. If you were going into this blind and, had no idea, it's very hard for me to say because I have to ask myself, would I know what was going on before the end of this movie, before the reveal, if I had no idea, if I was never seen this before or heard
I would think not. You're along for the ride. You're as oblivious as Thorne is. But you don't know what the end result was. That's it. Because you cut. You get the reveal, the tagline, and then that's it.
And this was one of a classic series of genre films that Charlton Heston made in the late 60s, early 70s. First, we've got Planet of the Apes, of course.
All right. That was 67?
68 was released.
8.
Then we had Beneath the Planet of the Apes. He kind of cameoed as Taylor in that sequel.
Yeah.
With the mutants underground.
Yep.
And then we had Omega Man in 71.
Omega Man was before this.
Yeah, it was. It
really?
was before this, 71. And then this came out in 73, Soylent Green. And then I think he was done with science fiction.
He was like, I'm out of here. Interesting.
But all classic movies.
Yeah, very much so. So the director of this, Richard Fleischer, do you know his dad was Max Fleischer, famous animator, 30s Superman animated, which still stand the test of time.
Those of you out there who are Saturday Night Live fans may remember fondly Phil Hartman's portrayal of Charlton Heston on many occasions.
Usually in a game show.
He did a Soylent Green sketch. John Goodman on a fake movie talk show talking about all the various Soylent Green movies that he'd directed. He was playing the director of Soylent Green. And one of the sequels featured Soylent cow flops.
What a grim world it is here in the year 2527, when the only thing the government gives us to eat is Soylent cow pies.
Well, at least they're hot.
Soylent cow pies are people! The people!
We thought we were eating cow flop!
No, it's people!
So what would we do with this? I feel like that we can't be too sparing with the buckets because this is a classic of the genre, but yet it's not a great film by any means. I wouldn't put it up there on the AFI list or anything, but...
No, the tag that, like you said, the tagline alone makes this movie, this surprise ending, shocks you into making you think it's a better movie than it was.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's not like it's the first surprise ending. Well, Charlton Heston himself had one of the ultimate surprise endings with Planet of the Apes.
Doesn't that feed into our confessional?
It does. Yeah, I think it is an important film in the annals of science fiction.
I think it's still timely. I think it still resonates. Maybe even more so now than then. I mean, I know that, back then they were going through the oil crisis and whatnot, but yeah.
Maybe they should show this on Air Force One. Maybe.
Chuck Heston, love that guy. Guy. Give him another gun. So
yeah, 3 popcorn buckets from me for Soylent Green.
I'll say at least 3. Again, there's a point where I just wanted to kind of rip it apart and make fun of it, but it hit home a little bit too much. Once you started really reading into and seeing what was going on.
And I could see why Mike would have chosen this as a disturbing movie.
Oh, as a kid.
As a kid, it's a lot to process.
Right.
No pun intended.
Pun taken, though.
And let me just give a shout out to Chuck Connors, who plays the bodyguard here.
Now, where have we seen him before?
The rifleman, first of all.
Okay.
Jeff, since you're not a horror guy, you wouldn't know him from this, but he is Mr. Slauson from Tourist Trap. And Tourist Trap was a close second to my most traumatic movies of all time, behind The Blob. So I think if we revisit this, because I think we have the possibility of unearthing many more traumatic childhood memories.
I'm sure this is like therapy 101.
So if we revisit this confessional question next Halloween, I think that I would choose Tourist Trap as my next traumatic movie.
Interesting.
Oh, okay. Three buckets from both of us.
Okay, that's not that. Listen, 3 across the board this week.
Yeah,
not bad.
So this leads us to our confessional.
Confessionals.
We always try to pair the confessional with something that we're doing elsewhere in the episode. So Soylent Green, one of the most famous surprise endings of all time. So we figured we posed the question to ourselves: what is your favorite surprise ending?
I think that we might have the same answer.
Did we allude to it just a few minutes ago?
We did. We did.
See, this was very tough for me because the minute I would think of one, another one would spring to my mind. Then another one would spring to my mind. Then another one would spring to my mind. And I really wanted something iconic. So, of course, my first go-to was the reveal of Luke and Darth Vader's relationship at the end of Empire Strikes Back.
You know what's funny? I never even thought of that.
Yeah, because that was just a jaw-dropper. Going into that, not knowing that was coming, I was in denial of that for months after seeing that movie. I was like, Luke, that's impossible.
That's impossible.
I think for me, that might be my number one surprise ending.
That's actually a good call. And that's funny that I guess maybe in the world of M. Night Shyamalan's now, which is, the twist ending is literally like the twist ending. I mean, Empire, other stuff happened after that. But yeah, it is a twist reveal. I got to go with Planet of the Apes. As a kid, that was mind-boggling to me.
And that is probably the most iconic of all endings, not even surprise endings, just endings, period, of a movie.
Yeah. And you know what? There's some twist endings. Like you go to The Sixth Sense. Like if you go back and you now watch it knowing that he's dead, it doesn't hold the same weight. You can watch Planet of the Apes and it actually puts it on a different level, knowing where he is the whole time. It doesn't, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't diminish the storyline. It actually enhances the storyline. There's a couple like that. Fight Club was another one where you find out that the character doesn't exist. It's all in his head. Like, that's the type of twist where you immediately like, I got to go back and rewatch this movie now to see if it holds together.
And it all makes sense, and it does hold together.
Yeah.
That one and The Usual Suspects. Kaiser Soze.
Yes. Yeah. So stuff like that. But I think as a kid, because Planet of the Apes, I mean, that was pre-Star Wars. So, you know, the fantastical, I mean, those costumes and the makeup were just phenomenal. And I remember specifically showing this movie to my son probably a couple years ago. And he even, you know, kids just tend to watch things on surface level. And even he was just like, Dad, the music. And I mean, when they're being chased, you know, through the fields by the gorillas for the first time, and you don't know what's going on. I mean, and that music score with the pounding drums. I mean, the whole thing is phenomenal. But to take that, and at the end, he gets away and he's going off, and all of a sudden he comes across the Statue of Liberty, and you're just like, holy, and exactly what he says. He's like, you blew it up. Damn you, you maniacs. Yeah, that was crazy.
And I also came across, as I was looking through my DVD collection to help me get some ideas for surprise endings, one movie that's really kind of been slighted just because nobody takes Tom Cruise seriously anymore is Vanilla Sky. I loved Vanilla Sky, and that has a great twist ending where he's been kind of like living a forced dream for the last half of the movie. And that's another one where you can go back and you can see the exact point where it begins.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that movie's always gotten short shrift, and maybe we should cover that one of these days.
We should. His other one, Oblivion, which is where you find out that he's a clone.
Okay.
So, but that's kind of, it's not like an end reveal. It's like something you figure out halfway through and whatever, but it does change, you know, his motivations and what's going on. Yeah, there's a lot of twist stuff out there, you know. Some of them are just twists for the sake of being a twist. Even Unbreakable at the end, you know, where you find out that Sam Jackson's character was manipulating all these events leading into Bruce Willis's character finding out who and what he is. That there was a nefarious purpose behind it.
Like you said, a lot of movies these days tend to rely on the twist ending, especially genre movies. It seems like a genre movie can't get made these days without a twist ending. And it's not always necessary or needed, but a lot of the time.
No, I'll tell you, one that M. Night Shyamalan, I think because he became pigeonholed with that whole twist ending.
Yeah, the people expected it. Yeah.
Right. So look at The Village, which was a great movie. It was a good movie up to a certain point, and then it was like it was a silly twist that we just like, I could have lived without it.
Yeah.
So
if there was really monsters, I think that would have been a better ending than what.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, just some guy hiding in the woods, pretending.
There we go. So let's talk about next week a little bit.
What's going on next week, Jim?
Well, we're going to enter our third discussion of childhood trauma with Jeff's personal experience.
Yes, I have it upstairs right now, just waiting to watch it. My family will be leaving. I tried to get my son to watch the first 10 minutes with me, and he would not.
Really?
Would not do it. Nope. No, he's chicken-hearted just like his mother. They don't like, I mean, I have anything even remotely scary, and they'll leave and go upstairs.
So tell us, Jeff, what is it? What's going to be your childhood trauma pick?
American Werewolf in London.
Yes.
Which is just it is a great movie first and foremost, but it has got some scary ass creepy scenes in it.
It does. It totally does. And then our main feature next week is going to be a Netflix movie called Hold the Dark, which is wolf related. So we're trying to go with a theme here, people. Bear with us, or wolf with us.
Dog Days of October.
So there you have it. So this is really, next week is going to be our Halloween episode, if you think about it, because it premieres on the 31st. So we'll try to make it extra scary for you.
No, not too scary.
Not too scary, please.
Can we get any scarier than Halloween? And now Mike, so no Mike next week. So we will follow up with Night Stalker.
Yeah, he's not getting out of that Night Stalker discussion.
No, because I watched it. So
yeah, Night Stalker should be a recurring theme on our show here.
Yeah, precursor to the X-Files, man.
It really is. Really, precursor to everything.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And I even, once we started digging deep on that show, there was an episode that I remember specifically only seeing like the tail end of it, and it freaked me out. And again, it was one of those things that took me years to find out what it was. And it's on there. I know it's on YouTube right now. The entire first season's on there.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I have not broken down and watched yet. And I can see where this episode, it could definitely freak out Mike as a kid. Yeah. I mean, there were some, it's silly. It's 70s, but I mean, you got a lot of women screaming in it. So
yeah,
sometimes that's enough to push you over the edge as a kid.
So we'll be back at you next week.
Nice. Sounds good. Get on there, man. Go back to episode 22.
Here comes that film.
Ciao.
Bye.
Soylent Green is pissed.
Soylent Green is still made out of people. They didn't change the recipe like they said they were going to. It's still